If cricket is a religion in India, then what is the IPL? Its biggest festival? Many would agree with that. The IPL has forever changed the way people consume cricket. Over the years, it has unlocked huge potential in terms of viewership and growth for advertisers and brands. But the 2023 edition of the IPL is quite different. IPL this year has witnessed a disruptive digital leap like never before, democratizing the experience and taking the league to stratospheric heights. But what are the implications of this for advertisers and media planners? How are they using the cricket juggernaut to reach and engage with audiences far and wide? What are the winning strategies of the brands leveraging the big surge? To get answers to these questions, we've invited a stellar panel of guests in the studio today for this very special Media Dialogue with Storyboard18. We have with us Vishal Chinchankar, who is the CEO of Madison Digital, Jaya Jamrani, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Castrol. We have Sudhir Shukla, COO Hypermarkets at More Retail. On my left is Amardeep Singh, CEO Interactive Avenues. And we have in the studio today Naveen Gupta, who is the country head of Zoomka. A very warm welcome to everyone. So it's lovely to have you all here. And we're just going to dig in. And I'm going to start with you, Jaya. From the vantage of a marketer, tell me, how did you view this IPL? Given all the anticipation and excitement around it and the build-up that happened, especially with the draw of it being a truly digital IPL, what were some of the things that you were looking at from a marketer's point of view when you were evaluating where to put your marketing spends and media spends?
I think, first of all, I agree with you. IPL is, to my mind, the largest aggregator in India. Right, the whole country comes together and everybody has IPL on their screens, on their minds. And I think the league has outperformed itself year on year in terms of reach, viewership, concurrency. Everybody's talking about concurrency numbers this year. And as Castrol, we've always been associated with sports. So IPL advertising has always been a part of our campaigns. Now, what's different this year? Two things. I think the reach that we anticipate because of digital, because of the fact that Jio has taken it free, and then there is the impact part of it. And what does that mean for a brand like Castrol? So the first thing is that the brand is reinventing this year. So there's big news for us. We are refreshing the look and feel. And the kind of reach IPL gives us, it allows us to very quickly reach out to the widest range of audiences across car, bike, truck, tractors, all kinds of consumers who are our target audiences, and really quickly announce to them the fact that the brand has refreshed itself. This is the new Castrol. So that's one part of it, which is about creating awareness. The second part of it is impact, right? And I think what IPL does is it allows you to create content which the consumer is actively watching. So it's not passive content. Nobody's relaxing on their sofa. They're watching it. They're into the game. And hence what they receive and absorb from brand perspective is very active listening. So squeeze ups, pre and post integrations, everything that allows you to integrate your brand messaging into the game. And we've had a new campaign on Castrol Active, for which awareness is not a task, but brand messaging. So Compromise Padega Mehenga, which has been our campaign this year. I think IPL has just allowed us to integrate that brand message very, very deeply. And like I told you, these are early days. Numbers are very, very exciting. And we have gone all digital this year. And we're getting very good reach, and early reads on brand equity is also very promising.
How has the sort of the digital pie, the digital angle, changed the game? What are they looking for? Just a quick sort of sense of what.
So I think this year, like Jaya said, cricket gives an unparalleled reach. Nothing can get closer to that. There's a big war, obviously, as we're seeing it. But the fact is, digital really adds a more layer of interactivity, a lot of immersiveness. And thanks to Jio, when it's just getting free to every consumer, irrespective of the operator that they're operating. So reach build-ups are looking very, very high. Secondly, what's happening is from the reach perspective and the measurable matrix that Jaya spoke about. I mean, I'll just cite an example. Last year in World Cup T20, India-Pakistan, got the highest concurrency of 16 million. Yeah. Look at this Chennai RCB, which happened a few weeks back. 24 million.
Correct.
I think that's the kind of speed and the distribution and the eyeballs that digital is able to really pull it up. Of course, all efforts towards it and looks like very, very promising this year.
Sudhir, I'm going to come to you next. And given the fact, of course, that you've also sort of been part of building the IPL, as you mentioned previously, also the greatest, startup, the biggest startup to come out of India. But from your perspective as a marketer and also someone who's sort of seen the IPL sort of build up over the years, how do you think brands and marketers are sort of thinking about some of the measurements? How has that evolved over time? And again, with what we are seeing right now, Vishal just mentioned some seriously mind-boggling numbers on viewership because of the digital leap, as we call it. So what's your perspective on how, the idea of how you measure the success of an IPL campaign changed this year especially?
Yeah. So this is a very interesting year in the journey of IPL also as a brand. And I think if you look at IPL 2008, it starts. 2018 for the first time goes into many languages. 2023 goes to more languages than ever. So language democratization, very interesting phenomena. I think also the fact that now with the emergence of mobile and the internet ecosystem peaking in India, you can advertise on connected TVs, you can advertise on mobile phones, you can advertise by language, you can advertise by city. So as a retailer, this was a big wow factor for us when we were considering IPL, right? The ability to personalize the campaign at scale. And really, I think what is phenomenal about IPL is, of course, the great numbers, but the quality of the impact is absolutely fantastic, right? So I think when you're on digital, and I think we've seen the concurrency numbers. Now, concurrency numbers go up when a certain batsman comes in to bat, match after match. And the ability to make the most of that moment is really truly spectacular, something that only IPL can offer. So the reach numbers, the engagement numbers, the concurrency numbers, all input metrics. But ultimately, the impact on business is I think, the one metric that all of us look at. And I think IPL does justify.
Nani, let me just quickly sort of get your perspective also on this from the sort of the brand side. How has your take on the IPL sort of shifted this year? What was that sort of switch on button for you, perhaps?
Yeah. So Zoomcar is participating in IPL for the first time otherwise. So we have not done any full-scale, full-blown kind of a marketing initiative ever. And, this time we wanted to do that because it's a decade-old company, but we repivoted our business model to a peer-to-peer car-sharing model. So we wanted to announce this to the entire world. And we felt that what better than IPL, because this time definitely, the reach will be higher, as Jaya mentioned and Vishal mentioned, because of the free coverage. And, we also wanted to be it to be very targeted on CTVs, because we wanted to reach the households wherein we wanted to announce the host-guest connect, which was very important for us. And IPL as a medium, specifically through CTV, gave that opportunity to reach out to both of these personas. So it was a good platform for us. In terms of the initial results, we saw a spike in the organic traffic, which was really good for us. And we can actually see that, with your impressions increasing and with the capability of seismic recording your impressions, your organic reach actually went up, and the installs really went high. And for an app first kind of a brand, this was a wow moment definitely for us.
A wow moment, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of wow moments this season, that's for sure. On pitch, off pitch, everywhere. But Amardeep, let me come to you next. And there were certain things that both Jaya, Vishal and Sudhir mentioned, which were on sort of, the efficiency of digital, that digital offers, the flexibility that digital offers, as well as the personalization. So from your perspective, in terms of, what are some of the things that marketers can do and effective campaigning and deployment of their campaign?
What we are seeing with the democratization of IPL and making it free for everyone, we're seeing a jump in numbers. Overall reach should be around 400 million plus, okay? But coming specifically to CTV, we're looking at anywhere between 25 million to 40 million CTV households being reached. And what we've seen in the end metric, CTV advertising performs better as compared to a regular ad on the mobile, right? You're reaching out to two key segments, which is cord cutters and cord shavers. Now, the advantage of reaching out to cord cutters is you don't reach the cord cutter audience through regular TV, through regular linear TV. And the advantage for cord shavers is you're able to personalize your communication to the cord shavers, which you can't do when you reach them through linear TV. And as Sudhir said, you're able to personalize basis region, basis language, basis the brand priorities. Certain brands will have certain markets as priorities, so you're able to personalize your communication to specific areas. So all in all metrics seem to go up when you advertise on IPL.
Absolutely. And since you sort of brought up CTV, and let me then sort of take that up and ask every one of you, so think about your answer. What do you think of the relevance of linear TV going forward? I'll come to you, Naveen, first, because you mentioned that this is the first time, for instance, that you've advertised a big campaign on the IPL. The digital piece, of course, is a huge driver for that. What about the relevance of linear TV? You heard what Amardeep said. Where do you see that? Do you think it will be as relevant going forward?
No, I personally believe that, a linear TV will be relevant for mass brands, but somebody who is a digital first kind of environment, CTV makes much more sense because it gives you that level of personalization, that level of reach in terms of an engaged audience, and hence for a digital brand, definitely CTV is much more better. It also gives you that level of tracking, which sometimes misses from a linear TV. It's a day-to-day tracking which you can actually see, and you can fine-tune your strategy based on that. So CTV definitely for a digital first environment makes sense, but for mass brands, linear TV still make sense in a longer run.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I heard you agreeing with what Naveen was saying when he was talking about tracking, Jaya. So
Vishal will agree with me also, because for a brand marketeer, there are two very simple fundamentals. Follow the consumer wherever he or she is, right?
Absolutely.
In the most impactful manner. And the second piece, because you're also answerable to P&L, is ROI. So I think I agree to what Naveen said. I think it's about finding what is the right medium for the right consumer. And for us at Castrol, we started connected TV last year in January for our car brands, because the car consumer is an early adopter, more affluent, more technology, and it's a smaller segment for us. So you're able to target and get better ROI for us. Less pilferage also, and easy to measure. But I think it's very difficult to say, is this the future and what happens to linear TV? Because there will be audiences who are consuming different media, and you'll have to make sure that you effectively deploy what works for which audiences.
Absolutely. Sudhir, your take?
Look, I think
Relevance of linear TV?
I think it's interesting, isn't it? I think, I remember some of the data, for example, 2018, 450 million people on TV, 200 million on OTT. This year, probably the same, right? At some point, the figure is going to reverse. But of course, it's going to be relevant, right? And I think Jaya has spoken about it. You need to find what's right for your TG. You need to find what's right for your business. Connected TV is doing what HD was doing 5 years back, which is a proxy for affluent people. So if you're selling anything which targets the top 30, 40 million households, CTV is great. If you're selling soap, however, then you need to look at something that can give you that reach. And I think in the same realm, I think mobiles are also very interesting phenomena now. For example, one key shift that at least I've been seeing, and I've been a passionate sports follower for many years, is just the way people consume sport is changing. I remember a time when I was growing up that if there was a cricket match, people would leave everything they're doing and the family would sit in front of the TV. I think now people want to do what they want to do, but also follow the sport, which is why, like I was mentioning earlier, when Dhoni comes into bat, the concurrency numbers go up, because I could be stuck in a local train, but I don't want to miss the moment. I think that's where the customization is useful. That's where the ability to place the ad in a way that consumers can consume is useful. And I think that's the power really of digital for me.
Hold on to that thought. We'll take a quick commercial break, but we'll be back soon, and we're going to keep talking about how the IPL digital viewership leap has changed the game. Welcome back. You are watching Media Dialogues with Storyboard18, and I'm talking to an excellent panel of guests today about how advertisers are leveraging the cricket juggernaut that is IPL 2023 with its digital viewership surge. In terms of, just this IPL, especially again with what's happened with digital, it's also become very interactive. You all mentioned, of course, how important languages are. And there are so many more languages this year. We've seen how popular the Bhojpuri commentary is, for instance. It was through the roof. So just like, Vishal, what are you hearing? What are you hearing from clients about, any anecdotes that you could possibly share with us? Like, how important is this sort of regionalization, this really sort of, in a sense, very hyper-local, personalized IPL experience that people are getting because of digital?
So look, thanks to India, we are so democratized and so vast that there's an India within India, and obviously there's one Kerala within India, which is itself an India. But from 7 languages that linear TV offered to about 12 languages, it's huge democratization. We've never thought of Kiran More coming and speaking Marathi. And, it is nice music to my mom and my dad, who still probably sometimes would like to watch cricket. But I think that experience is been a great consumer experience. That's adding a lot more numbers. Forget the Hindi and the English, which is quite a common number, but I've been told, like you just mentioned about Bhojpuri, there's even Punjabi, which is actually giving a lot more numbers, right? So I think from a language perspective, great immersive stuff. Marketers have been, for one of our brands actually, we've created some 9 or 10 language ads just to make sure that it goes with those particular feeds. And the response has been phenomenal for those particular respective cities.
Coming to the point about democratization, for you being a first-time, advertiser, how has the sort of the language piece helped you?
No, so actually we did not want to engage into the language piece while we were aware of it, that it will give you that reach on a personal level to that audience. But we wanted to keep the campaign to be massy because we wanted to reach out. It's a decade-old startup otherwise, right? So everybody knows us on the guest side of the things, but we wanted to reach people specifically on the host side of things, wherein we are reaching to budding entrepreneurs who are looking for second income. So we wanted to make it more massy, and we did not really get into the regional feeds. But as Vishal mentioned, like in future, definitely we'll want to do that once we want to really expand further into the tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Interesting part is that even if the participating brands don't want to get into 13, 20, whatever X number of languages, the fact that the match is being viewed in a very immersive environment gives me a higher probability that the engagement for my brand will be higher.
Absolutely.
So it's not something which is playing in the background in the house and people are having dinner, but it's very active viewing and people are watching, and which is why when they see my brand squeeze up or ad or whatever, the chances are that the brand recall message will be very high. And I think for me, that is what vernacular does. It just gives me a scale at a level as an advertiser which didn't exist.
A lot of first-time IPL advertisers have come on board, but not just that. We are also seeing a lot of sort of smaller brands, brands that perhaps IPL was completely out of reach for them till about a year ago, but suddenly it's within their grasp. Yeah. So what are you seeing in terms of, interest from smaller brands, people with not as, high sort of media spends?
In fact, everyone spoke about democratization of the IPL. I think what IPL has done to the advertisers, they've democratized TV for the advertisers. Earlier, to advertise on TV, you needed huge budgets. Now you don't need huge budgets to advertise on TV. We've had an advertiser who spent as little as 35 lakhs, for a full campaign on CTV. And he's got fantastic results. So I think what digitization of IPL has done has democratized TV for advertisers.
So 2 things to add. I think one is, interestingly, if you look at digital overall and if you look at the ADX for last 10 years, I remember as a marketer 10 years back, somebody told me that digital will kill TV. I'm still waiting for that moment. Right? So for example, TV grew 10 years. Digital took share from print and outdoor in a very big way.
Yeah.
And that's what digital is able to do, personalization at scale. So I think it will only grow. And languages play an integral part. In fact, it's quite amazing how much people, so we actually in Bombay or Delhi sometimes tend to underestimate the power of languages. I'm glad Jaya just said that, right? It's identity for people in India. And when someone televises IPL in Oriya, the joy that it brings to somebody in Orissa, you have to talk to them to understand.
What's your one big key takeaway from the IPL this year? I know that, Vishal.
I think the rise of connected TV. Clearly, that's hit the ball out of the park. It's eaten up into the linear TV revenues as well, and it's there to stay.
For me, it's targeted marketing because my brands are into cars, bikes, trucks, tractors. The segments are very varied. So it's allowed me to be able to focus and drive the right content to the right audience and hence get better ROI.
Yeah, it's like personalization, the level of personalization, the targeting which you can achieve is amazing, and then you can bring in a lot of repeat using other digital mediums which help you build that brand recall.
I would agree with Vishal on the connected TV piece. So that's one big thing. The second thing is on personalization. I'd like to delve a little deeper. Think of a scenario where you had one TVC and you broadcast that TVC, and now you think of 15, 20 different TVCs, or then you look at personalization at scale where you're making thousands of creatives, just to customize. We have a framework on a person, place, moment. So depending on the person, place and moment, depending on the data signals that you get, we make thousands of creatives. So personalization at scale, I would agree with Sudhir.
Absolutely, 100%. Sudhir, I'll let you have the closing remark on your one big key takeaway from the IPL this season, even though we're just not at the end of it yet. But what's your takeaway?
I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that a brand like IPL, so if I pull back as a marketer, you look at large brands and say, how do you make something this large larger? It's a real problem that you tend to grapple with. So first of all, IPL is a great inspiration that it grows year after year. Secondly, I think language, and I think bundle that with the digital. So what digital, so multiple language presence and specificity of digital, I think is a very, very potent combination. It democratizes it for the advertisers. It makes it immensely measurable. And I think the business impact, I think, is there for most of us here, right? So I think we'd all agree to say that despite being one of the most expensive real estates in Indian media, it still delivers ROI. And that's, I think, it's good to see, but it's also good to learn from as a business and a marketing.
So there you have it. The bottom line is that the 2023 edition of the IPL with its digital surge has changed the game. It has broken records and stumps and kept brand marketers and agencies hooked. But there's more to come, so buckle up and watch the games unfold. And thank you for watching this very special media dialogue with Storyboard 18. Thank you to all my guests today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.